heaven? Who else could make every king bow down? Who else could whisper and darkness trembles? Only a holy God. What are the beauty demands such praises? What are the splendor outshines the sun? What are the majesty rules with justice? Only a holy God. Come and behold Him, the one and the only. Cry out, sing holy, forever a holy God. Come and worship the holy God. What are the glory consumes like fire? What are the power can raise the dead? And what other name remains undefeated? Only a holy God. Come and behold Him, the one and the only. Cry out, sing holy, forever a holy God. Come and worship the holy God. Come and behold Him, the one and the only. Cry out, sing holy, forever a holy God. Come and worship the holy God. Who else could rescue me from my failing? Who else would offer His only Son? And who else invites me to call Him Father? Only a holy God. Only my holy God. Come and behold Him, the one and the only. Cry out, sing holy, forever a holy God. Come and worship the holy God. Come and behold Him, the one and the only. Cry out, sing holy, forever a holy God. Come and worship the holy God. Come and worship the holy God.
Well, good morning, church. It's good to be here with you this morning. We are going to begin our service and continue our worship with our community prayers. And the verse motivating our prayers this morning is from Ephesians 6:18, which says, "Pray in the Spirit at all times and on every occasion. Stay alert and be persistent in your prayers for all believers everywhere." We believe that it's important to lean into this theme. This morning we are praying for our sister church in Winnipeg, the Bridge Church, as they are relocating and transitioning to their new building. We're praying specifically that the sale goes through for their current property that they're still holding on to, because they're beginning to rent, and we want to make sure that they're trying to steward their finance as well. We're praying for our young adults as they are preparing for the transition out of finals and into summer jobs. This can be a pretty overwhelming season for lots of students. And so we're going to pray for peace and for comfort. And finally, we're praying for our brothers and sisters at the Life Center and the Spanish-speaking church, as well as Bakerfield Music Academy that share our building. So yeah, let's all take a moment in our groups to pray now. Wonderful. Thanks for leaning into that with us this morning. We're going to launch into some announcements right away here. The first announcement being that we are doing a Family Ministries movie night. So you are all invited to come out. There's a copied poster up on the slide here. And yeah, that's going to be on April 4th, 6 p.m. If you're interested for any more details, please contact Katie, who is our interim Family Ministries pastor, and she will get you those details. The next event that we would like to talk to you about is that we're doing a volunteer appreciation barbecue party, which is incredibly exciting. That's going to be on April 27th, which is, I believe, the last Sunday of the month, from 12 till 3. We're going to head over to Aldergrove Regional Park at the end of the service, and all volunteers are welcome, like tech and sound volunteers, music volunteers, kidsmen volunteers, people who help out with lunch, and like weekly volunteers, not even just volunteers that are involved on a Sunday morning. So we want to celebrate all of our volunteers. So everyone is invited, and there's going to be food and celebration and games, and it'll be wonderful. Now, next up, we want to advertise a special event that is happening. It's going to be a seminar hosted on the topic of identity, discipleship, and perfectionism. So if you find yourself in that category like I do, I'm actually going to be speaking at this event, and we've attached a little teaser trailer here for you to watch. So here we go.
What about self-discipline? How loud do you need me to talk?
That's good, I think.
Okay. Well, most people who know me know that I'm incredibly self-disciplined. Something that I pride myself on a lot, that like it's a characteristic that I'm very proud of, and is, I think it's a factor of a bunch of different things. It's one of my strongest Clifton strengths. Have been diving into Enneagram types recently and found out that I'm a 1, and like very strongly a 1. Which is an Enneagram, like is a type all about making the world better and finding justice and like finding what is not good and making it better. And for me, that is often introspective. I like having control, and when areas outside of my control are chaotic, then I retreat within myself and just try and make me the best person that I can be. And I've been a perfectionist for as long as I can think, and I know that that's bad in theory, but like also, if I'm being completely honest, it feels like this like whole like righteous, self-righteous kind of idea of just like I can achieve perfection and other people can't, I feel like is a lie that I've believed in the past. And I've been working on that in the last couple of years. I think Quest was really important for starting to break those lies. And I've had a lot of success working on that in my academics, like choosing not to find my worth in academics. But I think something that God has been trying to communicate to me that I've been not willing to hear in the last couple of months is that my self-discipline is not always a good characteristic. I think I use discipline, like I frame it in my mind of like I'm becoming more like Christ, and the better person that I become, the better like tool I can be to the kingdom. And that's true, but I've been challenged recently that sometimes imperfections are actually good things to have, and that the imperfections that you offer to the people around you can actually be beneficial. And I still don't believe that yet, but I'm like more open to the idea. But I get the sense that I could find a lot of freedom in that too. So, fascinating thoughts. Anyway, that's what's been alive for me about self-discipline. What about self-discipline?
Wonderful. Again, if you're interested in participating in an event such as this, you can contact Pastor Brad for more details, and we would be happy to send you the information, as this is hopefully going to be an incredible opportunity for our community to lean into. Yeah, so that concludes the end of our announcements. We're going to be moving into our teaching time for this morning, and we're continuing in our sermon series on obedience in the long walk of faith. And this morning's topic is going to be talking about mountain moments and where we find God when we're on the mountain or when we're not on the mountain, and what that can kind of look like. We'll be messing with that metaphor. So we're going to move into our scripture reading for this morning, which comes from So yeah, our sermon is based on the passage of Psalm 121, verses 1 to 8. And yeah, that is a pretty fascinating passage. It comes from a section of Psalms called the Songs of Ascent, which were songs that the Israelites sang to one another, with one another, as they were pilgrimaging to Jerusalem for the Passover every year. And so this particular psalm is situated right at the beginning. It's a group of about 15 psalms, and yeah, they would have been traveling and able to gaze upon the mountains and the hills of their countryside as they were doing so. And so it begins with this proclamation of like, I lift my eyes up to the mountains, but does my help come from the mountains? And that's going to launch us into this first point on this passage, to not put our hope in other things. Now, what's fascinating about the mountain imagery is that the pagan worshippers of that day set their gods up in hills to exalt them and to make them high. And so when Israel is saying, I set my eyes up onto the mountains, does my help come from there? They are really juxtaposing, does my help come from the pagan gods? But they know that that's not true. Later on in the passage, they say, my help comes from God who made heaven and earth and the mountains. So his identity as creator is appealed to contrast him against the other gods, which is another way of reminding the Israelites that they worship a God that is significantly different than the pagan gods of their world. They also contrast to Baal and other gods later on in the passage, talking about how he will not slumber and how he watches our steps, because pagan gods and pagan religions, like, they believed that they needed to wake their gods, to stir their gods' empathy, and to appeal to their gods for help, because the gods didn't care about human being. So really, a lot of Psalm 121 is the Israelites contrasting their God from the rest of the gods that they were surrounded with other ancient Near Eastern religions. And the ultimate exhortation here is, don't put your hope in things other than your God, because he is the one that provides for you. The second point here, God our God, Yahweh, Jehovah, is very concerned about our well-being. For example, he never sleeps on the job. He's watchful, he's vigilant. Psalm 121 is very clear, and it repeats this over and over, which in Jewish writing is a way of adding emphasis to something. That he does not slumber, he does not sleep, he will not need to be woken up because he's watchful. Protection from the elements around the clock, from the sun and from the moon, demonstrates a consistency and a constance in care. That God is so concerned that he's ever vigilant. He's always watching, and he doesn't like provide care just during the day or just through one season, but it's all encompassing. And the motifs of forever in the last stanza of this psalm, talking about how all the days of your life he will watch you, both going out, both now and forevermore, again points to God's consistency and faithfulness, that he's always with us on the mountaintops and on the valley moments, around the clock. He doesn't sleep, he's consistent and vigilant and is faithful and cares about our well-being. So finally, when on perilous journeys, we can look to God as our safety. And this is coming from the context that, like, the Israelites were on pilgrimage to Jerusalem, which was actually quite dangerous. The roads were full of bandits who would be hiding, so they often traveled in large convoys, but that didn't always prevent injury or illness or robbery or experiencing violence. And so oftentimes, as they were on their pilgrimage to Jerusalem, they very much had to focus on the fact that God was their refuge and their safety. So this passage points them to remembering and reminding each other that God is not in the hills, and he's not nonchalant or ignorant or apathetic about their care, but he's very invested. And I think that we need reminders like these when we're going through hardships in our own lives, that God is very invested. He's not ignorant. He's not sitting by the wayside pretending to care or waiting for us to call out for him. But he's like a father. He's walking around behind his toddling children and very much invested in what is going on. And I think what I want to land us on here this morning is that we can be one another's reminders when the mountaintop moments feel far away, when we're feeling distant from God, when we're feeling confused. We can take on the action of the Israelites in this passage and sing to one another that God isn't in the hills. God is everywhere. He made everything, and he's incredibly invested in what's going on. So I want to encourage us in that this morning, that there are times when life is going to feel hard, and in those seasons we can come alongside one another and remind each other that God is ever with us. So I want to thank you for being here this morning and for gathering with us. That brings us to the end of our service. We hope to see you next Sunday. And if you have, as usual, if you have prayer requests going up throughout the rest of the week, you can send your prayers to our care team. And we hope to see you at those events that we advertised earlier. If you want more information, they'll be in the church newsletter, which gets sent out every week via email. And with that, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.